Alright, so welcome back to another chapter. In this chapter, you will learn how to apply color, using gradient, creating strokes, how to use masks, and how to apply effects in Illustrator. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, so welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, you're going to learn about how to apply color and swatches. Now, there are many ways to apply color in your objects, and one of them is by using the color panel. If you can't find it, simply go to Window and select Color, or press F6 for shortcut. Now, click on the top corner icon on your color panel, and you will see a list of color options to choose from, including grayscale, RGB, HSB, CMYK, and so on. Now, just a reminder, RGB is for digital use and CMYK is for printing. Alright, now click on the Show options. Now, when you select an object, the panel will show you the color details of that specific object. Okay, so just click on it and you will see the changes on the panel. Now, if you want to change the color, all you have to do is drag the slider to the color that you want. Okay, now let's turn off the color panel and turn on the swatches panel. Alright, now select the sky layer and change the blue color. And this is how you can change color with the swatches. Alright, now click on the plus icon box to create a new swatch. Now adjust the color with the slider and rename it. Now your new color will appear in the swatches and ready to use. So if you change your mind, you can always delete it with the trash bin icon. Next, select the new color group option, give it a name, and press OK. And you will see a new folder appear in the lower left corner. Now all you have to do is drag and drop your preferred color to the folder. And this is really useful, especially when you're working on a larger project with a lot of colors. And of course, if you change your mind, you can always delete it. Alright, next is the swatch library. A swatch library is a collection of swatches that you can use. Now let's go to nature and select beach. And here you have all the beach color swatches. Alright, now let's try another swatch library. Go to art history and select Renaissance. Now let's use the color swatches here and apply it into our design. Now all you have to do is click on the object and select the color. As simple as that. Okay, so that is all for this lesson. I hope you learned something new. And in the next lesson, you will learn how to use gradient. I'll see you there. Welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about gradients. As you can see, I've created two rectangles for this demonstration. So first, let's go to Window and select Gradient. Okay, on the gradient panel, you will see three different gradients options. Alright, now let's try the first one, which is the linear gradient. Select the rectangle and click on the gradient icon. And there you go. Now let's apply the gradient to the bottom rectangle as well. Okay, so if you click on this drop-down menu, you can change the angle of the gradient. Now this slider allows you to move the gradients. Okay, now if you double click on the slider, you can change the gradient color. Alright, so just click on any color that you like and it will change accordingly. Okay, now let's double click on this slider again and choose yellow color. Okay, so that is how you can change the gradient color. Now, if you click on this drop down menu, you can change the opacity as well. All right, so this is 60% and 20%. All right, next click on the bottom rectangle and select radial gradient. And this will create a gradient that radiates from a center point. All right, now if you click on this drop down menu, you can change the shape of the radial. Okay, now if you move the slider, you can change the size of the radial. Okay, now let's double click on the slider and change the blue color. Okay, now feel free to move around the slider and see what you will get. Alright, double click on the slider and change the color. You can change to any color that you want. Okay, now let's create a blue and purple gradients. Now select the gradient tool at the tool panel. Now all you have to do is click and drag it. And this gives you the control to change the direction of the gradient. Now click on the slider and you will see a new dots appear. And this dots allows you to add new color to the gradient. Alright, just double click and select a color. Okay, so this is how you can create beautiful gradients with Illustrator. Alright, now let's explore the third option, which is the freeform gradient. Now the freeform gradients allows you to create smooth color transition with random colors. Now if you want to change the color, all you have to do is click on the tiny dots at the four corner. Now select the point option, then click and drag to change the color spread. Okay, you can also change the size of the gradient by adjusting the circle. Alright, now double click and select the light blue color. Now moving on, let's click on the line option. All right, so just click and release, and you will create a gradient lines like this. All right, so I think it's pretty good. Next, let's click on the swatch icon. Then click on the swatch library icon at the bottom left of the panel. Go to gradients, and you will see a list of presets that you can use. Just choose one of it, and you will see the preset gradient over here. Okay, let me move this over here and turn this off. So this is all the preset gradients that you can use. Alright, so that is all for this lesson. I hope you learned something new. So remember to keep practice and see what you will get. And on that note, I will see you in the next one.
Welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about creating strokes. Now first, go to Window and select Stroke, and the Stroke panel will appear. Now we're going to explore different types of corner joins in a stroke. Alright, select the first box, activate your stroke, then choose the color. Now you should see a mill to join like this. Okay, now let's increase the stroke weight. Next, select the square, then use the eyedropper tool and copy the stroke. Now switch it back to Selection tool. Select the stroke again, then go to the stroke panel and change to a round joint. Alright, now let's zoom in so that you can see the difference. Okay, now the last one is the bevel joint. Select the eyedropper tool, copy the strokes, then change to bevel joint. Alright, so these are the three different joints that you can use in stroke. Now the next one we have aligned. Now the align option allows you to change the stroke position. You can choose either you want it to be center, inside, or outside. Okay, now click on this icon and you will see the stroke move into the box. Now select the square, then use the eyedropper tool and copy the stroke. Then click on this icon. Alright, now you can see the stroke difference between inside, outside, and center. Now another thing you can do is change the stroke into a dashed line. Okay, now here you can change the size of the dash and the gap between the dash. Next, I'm going to show you more samples of different stroke design. The first one is the profile. Click on the profile option, and you will see a list of stroke profiles to choose from. Okay, now the next one is the brushes. So first, apply any stroke to the box. Then click on the drop-down menu and change the brush design. Alright, now let's select the feather brush. Okay, now the next one is the opacity. So let's create a stroke. Now change the fill to transparent so that you can see it better. Then click on this drop-down menu and you can change the opacity. Alright, now the last one that I want to mention is the arrow. So first, use the line tool and draw a line. Then click on this drop-down menu and change the arrowhead. Okay, now let's make the arrow smaller. Now rotate it. Then click on this drop-down menu and you can add a tail for your arrow. All right, so this is how you can create different types of strokes in Illustrator. So I hope you learned something new in this lesson, and on that note, I'll see you in the next one.
Alright, welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to use different types of masks. Now, these are the three main masks in Illustrator: the clipping mask, compound path, and draw inside. Alright, now let's start with the clipping mask. So first, draw a rectangle on the circle. Right-click, select Arrange, and bring it to the front. Now select both of the shapes, right-click, and select Make Clipping Mask. Now, as you can see, part of the rectangle and the circle has been removed, leaving what is in between. Alright, now let's get creative. Let's draw an oval. Now use the direct selection tool and tweak the anchor point. Okay, now just follow exactly what I'm doing. Now right-click, go to Arrange, and bring it to the front. Now cover it on top of the circle. Then right-click again and select Make Clipping Mask, and you will create a cool vector like this. Alright, now the next one is Compound Path. Now a compound path allows you to combine multiple shapes into one. Now use the abstract shape that you have created and place it right in the middle of the circle. Alright, now select both of the objects, right-click, and select Make Compound Path. Now the compound path will combine both shapes together, but it will remove the overlapping area. Alright, now the last one we have Draw Inside. Select the circle and click on this icon to activate the Draw Inside mode. Okay, now once the Draw Inside circle is on, you will see an outline around the circle. Now select the brush tool at the tool panel and choose a color. Okay, now increase the stroke weight. Now all you have to do is draw over the circle like this. As you can see, no matter how you draw it, the line will always remain in the circle. And this is how you can use the draw inside feature. And if you want to turn it off, all you have to do is click on this icon and you will be able to draw freely again. Alright, so that is all for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and learned something new. And as always, I will see you in the next one.
Alright, so welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to apply effects in Illustrator. Effects is kind of like a special tool that changes your design to become a little bit more interesting. So first, go ahead and download this file from the resource folder. Now select the birds. Then go to Effects and select Stylize. And you will see a list of effects that you can use. Now select Drop Shadow and the Drop Shadow panel will appear. And here you can adjust the shadow opacity. You can also adjust the axis, the level of blurriness, and the color of the shadow. Alright, whenever you are ready, just click OK. Alright, let's undo this. Go to Effects, select Stylize, and click Feather. And here you can adjust the radial size. Alright, now let's put 7. Okay, so there you go. Alright, now let's try another one. Go to Effects, select Stylize, and click Scribble. All right, so here's the scribble settings. You can adjust the angle over here, or you can change the line options, curviness, spacing, and so on. Okay, so this is the scribble option. Now let's go to effects and select effects gallery. The effects gallery is kind of like a collection of cool filters that you can apply to your design. And here you will find effects like fresco, neon glow, plastic wrapped, and so on. Okay, now I'm just going to click through all the effects so that you can have an idea of how it looks like. So once you're happy with the effects, just click OK. Okay, now let's try it again. Go to Effects Gallery. Select Texture and choose Patchwork. And there you go. All right, now one last thing I want to introduce you is the blur effect. Go to Effects, select Blur, and Gaussian Blur. Okay, so this is a very common effect to use to blur out images. Okay, now let's try different types of blur effects. Okay, so here's the settings to control the radial blur. All right, so there you have it. So remember to keep practice and try out all the effects and see what you will get. All right, so that is all for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and learned something new. And on that note, I will see you in the next one.
So welcome back to another chapter. In this chapter, you will learn how to use different types of drawing tools, such as the pen tool and the curvature tool. And also, you will learn how to create beautiful graphics like this. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to discuss 5 basic drawing tools that is commonly used in Illustrator. And that include the pencil tool, smooth tool, join tool, paintbrush, and the blot brush tool. All right, now first select the pencil tool. Now choose the color and the stroke weight. Now all you have to do is click and draw it, and you will create a path like this. Now basically a path is a line or a stroke that you can edit. Now what you can do is use the direct selection tool, then select the anchor point and edit it. Okay, now if you want to draw a straight line with the pencil tool, all you have to do is hold down the shift key and draw it. Now double click on the pencil tool icon and you will see the pencil tool option. And here you can adjust the fidelity. So this is where you can adjust the smoothness of your pencil line. Okay, now I'm just going to use the default settings. Select all the lines and delete it. Now use the pencil tool and draw a circle. Now as you can see, a tiny dots will appear right beside the pencil tool cursor. And these dots will help you to close the path with the starting point. Okay, now let's undo this and draw a triangle. Okay, you can create any shape that you want. You can adjust the fill and the stroke as well. Okay, so this is how you can use the pencil tool. Next, let's talk about the smooth tool. So first, create a star with the star tool. Now select the smooth tool from the tool panel. Then click and drag from angle to angle. And these tools will help you to smoothen the edges, curve, and angles. So as you can see, the star has become a little bit groovy. And this is how we can use the smooth tool. Now the next one is the join tool. Now let's draw a few lines here. Alright, now once you're done drawing, select the join tool within the pencil tool. Now just click and drag from one point to another. Now as you can see, both of the lines have joined together. So this is how you can use the join tool. Now if you want to change the angle, what you can do is select the path, then use the direct selection tool and change it. Now the next one is the paintbrush tool. This is a tool for painting and drawing. So just select the brush tool from the panel and you can start creating. Now if you want to draw a straight line, all you have to do is hold down the shift key and draw it. Okay, as simple as that. Now if you want to change the size, all you have to do is select all the strokes and resize it. Alright, now you might be wondering what's the difference between pencil tool and paintbrush tool. Now the difference is that when you draw with the paintbrush, it will not create the anchor point for you to edit. And also, if you draw a circle and you want to close the path, the close option will not appear. So if you want to close a path when you are using the paintbrush, you need to hold down the Alt key to close it like this. Okay, now let's fill this circle with a color. Alright, double click on the paintbrush tool and you can adjust the fidelity level here. So that's all for the paintbrush tool. Alright, now the next one is the blob brush tool. Now long press on the brush icon and you will see it. The blob brush tool functions almost like a paintbrush, but the difference is that the blob brush tool allows you to create an outline. Again, you can use the blob brush tool like a marker. Okay, now double click on the icon and you can change and adjust the fidelity. And you can change the size, the angle, and the roundness as well. Alright, so that's all for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and learned something new. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. Alright, welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the pen tool. Now, the pen tool is one of the most important tools in Illustrator. With the pen tool, you can draw different types of lines and shapes and is a must-know for creating graphics. Alright, now as you can see on the screen, there are 6 basic types of pen tool cursors, and each of it has its own function. Okay, now let's try with the first one. When you click on the pen tool cursor will appear, and you can select the color and the stroke from the option bar. Now when you see the pen tool cursor, it means that it's ready to draw. Now just click and release, and you will create a line. Continue to draw it and you will create a shape. Once you are done drawing, press the escape key to stop. Now let me show you what's the difference between the pen tool and the pencil tool. With the pencil tool, you can draw freely. But with the pen tool, you need to create anchor point and adjust the line point by point. All right, so that's the difference between both of it. Okay, now if you want to draw a straight line with the pen tool, all you have to do is hold down the shift key and draw it. All right, so there you have it. Now the next cursor is the pen tool cursor with a plus symbol. So whenever you see this plus symbol, it means you can add a new anchor point to a path. Okay, now first let me draw a straight line. Then select the Add Anchor Point tool. Now as I hover my cursor in the middle of the line, you will see the word path. So just click on it and you will create a new anchor point. Now you can edit the anchor point with the direct selection tool. Okay, now you can add as many anchor points as you want to create some complex shapes. Now the third one is the remove anchor point cursor. Okay, now it's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is hover over the anchor point and click it, and you will remove the anchor point. Okay, so just continue to click through all the anchor points, and it will become a straight line again. All right, so that is the remove anchor point cursor. So the next one is the convert anchor point tool. First, I'm going to use the pen tool and draw a few lines so that I can show you how it works. Go to the tool panel and select convert anchor point tool. Now the convert anchor point tool will change the anchor point into a curvature path. So all you have to do is select the anchor point, click and drag while holding down the shift key. Now the next one is the close path cursor. Now the close path cursor will appear when the pen tool meets the starting point. So just click on it and close the path. And once the path is closed, you can fill the shape with the color. Now the last pen tool cursor is the cursor with the slash symbol. Now whenever you see this, it means you can continue to draw on a path. As you can see on the screen, I have two open paths. Now, as I hover on the endpoint of a path, the slash cursor will appear. So whenever you see this, you can join them together with another open path. So just click on it and join them together. Okay, so that is all that you need to know about the cursor in the pen tool. All right, now let's practice what we have learned. Now use the pen tool and try to replicate exactly what I'm doing on the screen. Okay, remember to hold the shift key to draw a straight line. All right, there you have it, a simple house shape. Next, use the pen tool to click and drag it. Then press the Alt key and create a V shape like this. Now release and you will create a curved line. Now align with the middle anchor point, click and drag it. Now press the Alt key again and create the V shape and release. Now close the path line, click and drag it. So there you have it. If you do it correctly, you will create a heart shape like this. Okay, now let's draw the last one. Try to create a star shape like this. Now once you're done, go to the tool panel and select the anchor point tool. Now change all the angles into a curved path. And this is how you can create a simple vector flower. All right. So that is all for this lesson. I hope you learned something new. Remember to keep practice. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to use the curvature tool. And also, you will learn how to draw a beautiful bird like this. Now go ahead and download and open this file from the resource folder. So first, select the curvature tool from the tool panel. Now this tool works almost like a pen tool, but the difference is that the pen tool creates straight lines, the curvature tool creates a curved line. Alright, now you can change the stroke details from the option bar. Okay, whenever you are ready, try to draw and trace the shape of the wing. Just click and drag to create a curve and then close the path. So you don't have to be perfect when you draw it. You can always go back to adjust the anchor point when you're done. Alright, just follow along where I place my anchor point. Okay, now that's all for the first part. Let's move it aside and draw another one. Okay, now let's use the pen tool to draw the left wing. Okay, now once you're done, use the reshape tool to reshape it. Alright, now use the pen tool to draw the bird's beak. Again, use the reshape tool to reshape it. Let's move everything aside to make it easier to draw. Now let's use the curvature tool to draw the head. Next, let's draw the body. Okay, now readjust it with the direct selection tool. All right, now let's draw the tails. Once you're done drawing, then move everything together. All right, so there you have it. Congratulations on creating your first artwork in Illustrator. Now, let's apply color into the bird. So first, select the beak, then use the eyedropper tool and click on the color template. Now repeat the same process until you finish painting the bird. All right, now select the wing, right click, go to arrange and bring it to the front. Okay, now let's bring the blue tail to the front and the bird's head as well. All right, now if you follow correctly, you should have something that look like this. Okay, next, let's go into the details and clean up some of the overlapping shapes. Now select the head and the beak. You will notice the beak is actually behind the bird's head. Now, in order to make things a little bit more neat, we need to do some touch up. Okay, now go to Window, select Pathfinder, and click Trim. Now, as you can see, both of the shape are cleaner without overlapping each other. Okay, now let's continue to trim the bird's neck. Just select the shapes and trim it. All right, now let's bring the wing and the tail to the front and complete the drawing. So this is how you can use the pen tool and the curvature tool to create a beautiful artwork like this. Now before we finish this lesson, I just want to quickly show you the wrap tool. Now go to your tool panel and select the wrap tool. Within the wrap tool, you will see a list of tools like twirl, scallop, wrinkles, and so on. Now let's try the first one, which is the wrap tool. Just click and drag and you will create a groovy effect like this. Next, let's try the twirl tool. Just click and hold, then release. Okay, so that's the twirl effect. All right, now let's try the pucker tool. Now this is the bloat tool. Here's the scallop tool, crystallize tool, and the last one is the wrinkle tool. All right, so that is all for this lesson. Feel free to send me your artwork and see what you got from this lesson. So on that note, I will see you in the next one. Welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, we will continue to practice with the curvature tool as an exercise. This exercise will help you to master the curvature tool to create graphics. Okay, so first, go ahead and download and open this file from the resource folder. Now select the curvature tool and start tracing from the wolf head. So you don't have to be perfect when you draw it, you can always readjust it with the anchor point. Now let's continue to trace the body. Make sure you keep the lines as close as possible to the reference. Okay, now let's draw the wolf leg. Now continue to draw the other one. And don't worry about overlapping the shape, you can always trim it later. Now once you're done, move everything together and you will create a wolf vector. Now, if you want to change the stroke color, all you have to do is select all the stroke and change it at the option bar. Alright, now let's go to Window and turn on the Pathfinder. Now select the wolf body and two of the left legs. Then go to the Pathfinder and click Unite. Now as you can see, the body and the leg has been connected. Alright, now let me turn off the layer so that you can see it better. Now let's turn off all the panels and color the wolf. Alright, so first select the body, then use the eyedropper tool and click on the color template. Select the right leg, go to Arrange and bring it to the back. Then now select the head and bring it to the front. Select all the remaining body part and color it. Now let me turn off the layer, and there you have it. And this is how you can create a cool looking wolf vector. Alright, next let's draw the polar bear. Okay, let's close the path and do some adjustment. Alright, now let's draw the feet. Now let's continue to draw the head. Now once you're done, select the bear, use the eyedropper tool and color it with the blue gradient. Okay, and don't forget to bring the left feet back. Just right click, go to Arrange, and click Center Back. Now let me turn off the layer, and there you have it. And this is how you can create a cool looking polar bear. Alright, now let's move on and draw the whale. Okay, now let's draw the tail. Now let's draw the fin as well. Alright, now let's color the body with a darker blue, and the rest of the body with a lighter blue. Okay, you can always play with the opacity to create more depth. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, the koi fish. So same with the whale, let's start by drawing the body first. Alright, now let's draw the tail. Now draw the fins as well. Alright, once you're done, select the body and color it. Alright, now let's lower down the opacity. Now duplicate the fish and rotate it. Alright, now let's make it blue. So if you follow the lesson correctly, you should have something that look like this. Alright, so that is all for this lesson. Hopefully by now, you have already built up some muscle memory with the pen tool and the curvature tool. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. Alright, so welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to use the pen tool to create this beautiful artwork. So go ahead and download and open this file from the resource folder. So first, we're going to use the rectangle tool to create the sky. Next, use the ellipse tool to create the sun. Create a circle by holding down the Shift key. Now use the rectangle tool to create the sea and the beach. Alright, once you're done, select the first rectangle, then use the eyedropper tool to select a color from the color template. Now let's select the gradient blue for the sea. Now select the circle and apply the gradient orange. Next, use the remove anchor point tool to remove the bottom part of the circle. Next, use the direct selection tool and hold down the Shift key and adjust it into a half circle. Alright, now let's go to the layer panel and make sure you are drawing on top of the layer so that the base layer is not affected. Okay, now let's create a new layer and rename it. Okay, so this will be our background layer. Okay, and this will be our tree layer. Next, hide the background layer and draw on the tree layer. Okay, now let's use the rectangle tool to create the coconut tree. Just click and drag it. Okay, now let's copy and paste the tree trunks. Now let's move these aside. Then use the pen tool and trace the coconut tree leaf. Alright, once you're done tracing, use the eyedropper tool to copy the color from the template. Okay, you can always play with the opacity as well. Now let's copy and paste and resize it. Okay, now let's copy another one. Now let's make this into a darker green. Okay, now let's continue to draw the grass at the bottom. Alright, now let's continue to draw another one. Alright, now let's make a copy. Alright, now let's turn on the background layer and you should have something that look like this. Okay, now let's create a new layer and name it bold. Now let's turn off all the layers and draw the bold. Now select the anchor point and change it into a curved line. Okay, once you're done, use the eyedropper tool to apply the color. Now turn on all the layers and make sure everything is in the correct layer. Next, click on the plus icon to create a new layer. Now rename it into Dunes. Now let's use the pen tool to draw the sand dunes at the bottom. Next, use the anchor point tool to adjust the curvature. Okay, now let's continue to draw the other one. Now let's use the eyedropper tool and apply colors to the sand dunes. Now turn on the layer panel and move the dunes layer below the tree layer so that it doesn't block the tree. Alright, and there you have it, a beautiful beach artwork that is ready to print. Okay, now let's add some final details to make it look professional. Create a new layer and rename it to brushes. Now use the brush tool and draw on the sea to create the wave patterns. Now select the brush tool and change the brush style. Now select a darker brown to create some details for the beach. Now select the boat. Now go to Effects, select Stylize, and drop Shadow. Now select the sun, go to Effects, select Stylize, and select Feather. Next, select the tree, then go to Effects, select Artistic, and Film Grain. Alright, so that is all for this lesson. So hopefully by now you already get used to the pen tool with this exercise. So remember to keep practice, and on that note, I will see you in the next one. Alright, so welcome back to another lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to create icons. Now, an icon is a simplified picture that symbolizes something, and is commonly used in the graphic design world. Okay, as you can see on the screen, we have 3 different icons that symbolize the city of London. Now, before we start this lesson, make sure you download this file from the resource folder. Alright, now let's start with the clock tower. Okay, now use the pen tool and select the transparent fill. Now use a black stroke and change the stroke weight into 3. Now click on the layer and make sure you are drawing on the correct layer. Alright, now let's start tracing by holding down the shift key. Now use the ellipse tool to draw the clock. Use the pen tool again to create the minute hand. Alright, once you're done, you can start applying colors from the template. Okay, select a darker brown. Now change the clock to white color. Next, select the rectangle tool and draw the bottom part of the tower. Change the fill to transparent so they can see the guidelines. Now let's draw the line and duplicate it. Select the rectangle, use the eyedropper tool and copy the color. Alright, now let's move on to the top. Create 2 more rectangles. Now use the pen tool and draw the roof. Okay, now let's make it blue. Now let's draw 3 lines in the middle. Alright, now select the polygon tool and create a triangle. Now if you don't see the triangle, simply just press the down arrow to change the polygon tool into a triangle. Okay, now let's make it blue. Alright, and there you have it. A classic London clock tower. Okay, next, let's draw this double-decker bus with the pen tool. Okay, now select the shape with the direct selection tool. Now click and drag the anchor point and all the angles will become a curved line. Now let's create a circle for the wheel. Copy and paste another one. Select both of the wheels and make it gray. Alright, now create a black dot for the rim. Now use the pen tool and draw the windscreen and the back of the bus. Next, use the rectangle tool and draw the window. Then use the direct selection tool to change it into a round corner. Okay, now duplicate another one and place it into the right position. Alright, now resize the back window. Then use the direct selection tool to change the angle. Now hold the shift key and move the anchor point. Copy and paste the window. Right click, go to transform and select reflect. Alright, now select the eyedropper tool and copy the color from the template. Now select all the windows and change it to white. Okay, now let's add some final details. Now draw a blue line on the top. Okay, so this is how you can create the London bus icon. Next, let's move on to the last icon, the Tower Bridge. So first, use the rectangle tool and draw the base. Now let's create another one. Okay, so make sure all the rectangle is aligned in the middle. Now keep duplicated on top of each one. Now let's create a triangle for the roof. Again, if you don't see the triangle, all you have to do is press the down arrow and change the polygon into a triangle. Alright, now let's draw the window. So first, create a square. Now use the direct selection tool, click and drag to make the top corner round. Now for consistency radius, just type the number 4 in the option bar. Okay, now let's change the right corner and type 4 for the corner radius. Next, create a blue rectangle on the left. Duplicate another one and bring it to the middle. Now add a new anchor point at the bottom of the bridge. Now move the anchor point up. Next, select the anchor point tool. Now click and drag to create an arc like this. Okay, now let's draw the upper part of the bridge. Okay, now hold the shift key when you draw it and this will keep it symmetrical. Now change the color to yellow. Right now let's draw the cable. Next, use the arc tool to create the curved part. Just click and drag it. Okay, if you want to change the direction of the arc tool, just double click on the arc tool and you can change it. Now let's change the x-axis to y. Okay, now just click and drag it. Now select the direct selection tool to adjust the curve. Now for clarity purpose, I'm just going to change it to red so that you can see it better. So just keep adjusting until the arc is at the right position. Now once you're done, select the whole tower, right click and group it. Now duplicate the tower. Now right click, go to transform and select reflect. Select vertical and click OK. Alright, and there you have it, a classic tower bridge icon. And that is all for this lesson. So don't forget to send me your progress and I would love to see it. And on that note, I will see you in the next one.